check out for the intro here. Enjoy. That's the wrong way to do it. I'm supposed to bring up the video. Here we go. Enjoy this while people trickle in. This is your intro video, and I wanted to remind people of what's going on.
All right, party peoples of the interwebs, whether you love Donald Trump or you hate him, he does good in times of need, and he is yet again doing good in a time of need for the victims of Hurricane Helen, who, if they didn't already know this, you cannot rely on the federal government for anything. They are terrible, corrupt. They will squander your last taxpayer dollar to fund foreign proxy wars or for illegal aliens, such that when the time comes that there's a disaster and you need immediate and massive help, they say, sorry, we're almost out of budget for the remainder of the hurricane season. We won't get into that. Donald Trump sets up a fundraiser and has raised over $2 million for the victims of Hurricane Helen, and it's amazing. The only problem is he's used GoFundMe. I will not give 1 penny to GoFundMe. I call them GoFme because that's what people should do with that company, and that's what they do with their patrons. It's a politicized, corrupt, horrible organization. No one should ever use it. And the problem is I want to help. I want to find a place to donate to, and I refuse to use GoFundMe. So anyone in Trump's orbit, tell him to never use GoFme again. There's only one organization that you should be using, and it's Give, Send, Go. This is not a paid ad or anything whatsoever. I know Jacob Wells, the CEO of Give, Send, Go. I know the organization. It's the only organization that anybody should ever use for crowdfunding for this type of fundraising. So I texted Jacob and I asked him, look, I refuse to support anything on GoFundMe. Do you have any fundraisers for the victims of Hurricane Helen on Give, Send, Go? I don't need to start one myself, but I will if one doesn't exist. And he said, there is one. It's already up. It's trusted. It's ours. Go to it. I think it's called the 2024 Hurricane Relief Fund. If it's not, I'm going to put the link in the link below.
That's what
I have
it's
given
called.
to it now. If you want to help with the victims of Hurricane Helen, you can't get up. I don't know what people can do to help other than make sure that their money is going to a good cause to help. The link is in the description below. I'll put it wherever I put this video. And I put my money where my mouth is. I can't do anything more. I don't know what else I can do here other than raise awareness for the utter corrupt incompetence of the federal government. And people are realizing disaster hits, you're on your own. I mean, disaster hits, they will come and claim your land before they're going to help you with it. So I don't want to support GoFundMe at all.
GoFme.
And Trump needs to know, never use GoFundMe again. Give, Send, Go, and Give, Send, Go only. Link is in the description. If you want to help, that's where you can do it. If you don't have money to help, because times are tough and everybody knows that, share the link of the Give, Send, Go so that other people can know. Make this the one to go to, and don't give GoFme $1 from your pocket. They don't deserve it. They proven that they don't deserve it. Give, Send, Go. That's it. You know what to do. I'm going to go for a jog now. Peace out. Booyah.
Now, in case anybody, we're not going to get into what GoFme did. This is the link to the Give, Send, Go 2024 Hurricane Relief Fund. I'm proud to say that when I made that video yesterday, my donation brought it to like 15,000 and change, I believe. And so now I have nothing to do with this charity, this fundraiser, other than the fact that I asked the CEO, Jacob Wells, you have one? He says it was created by Give, Send, Go charities. The funds will be received by Give, Send, Go charities, and they're going to figure out how to divvy it up among there. And it goes to the sources, and it goes to the people who need it right now, which are lots. So go, I'm going to share the link with everyone. Go and give. And you can pray if you can't give, and you can share if you can't give either. But hold on. GoFundMe. Does everyone remember what they did? I forgot I didn't want to mention it in that video. Trucker protest. Canada. Everyone remember what GoFundMe did? The mother effers tried to steal the $10 million that was donated to the truckers after they unlawfully and abusively shut down the campaign because it was promoting violence. Bull crap. Said I would swear less. I'm going to swear less. I'll refresh all of your memories because I was there. GoFme, after the trucker protest, the Ottawa convoy in Canada, 2022, after they had raised $10 million, after they had already frozen the account at about 2 or 3 million to verify the legitimacy of the organization, they then went on to shut the charity down on the basis that it was promoting violence and lawlessness, whatever. We now know that the only reason they did that is because they had political intervention from, the mayor of Ottawa, I forget his name. Doesn't matter. They're corrupt. Then they froze the campaign, and then they said, we're keeping the 10 million and we're giving it to a charity of our choosing. Can you believe, like, they actually did this? I mean, people have forgotten this or never lived through it. They froze the campaign unlawfully and then said, We are unilaterally donating the 10 million raised, not to the entity for whom it was raised, but to a charity of our choice. GoFundMe, GoFme, the corrupt organization that will let you raise money for BLM, but not Kyle Rittenhouse for his own defense. Then after enough of the uproar, they said, all right, we're going to donate it to a charity that the convoy chooses to donate it to. Then everyone's like, well, we're going to file claims and contest the charges, and you're going to have a big mess on your hands, GoFundMe, GoFme, if you don't get sued. And they said, okay, fine, we're going to donate. We're going to return it to everybody. And I originally donated what, like, I don't know, $50, $100. And after they refunded my money, I went to Give, Send, Go, and I donated 1,000 to that convoy. So nobody should ever use GoFundMe. GoFme is what you should be telling. Well, I don't say go F yourself is what you should be saying to GoFme. And have I been very hot on the mic? Sorry, I just got distracted. That did come out as loud. Face blue smiley. Okay, I don't know what that's about. But the bottom line, Give, Send, Go's got the charity. I'll give everybody the link so that you can all go and give to the link. Here, link, bada bing, bada boom. And Thane _ Slaughter says, Viva Frei, you are a gosh darn hero, my brother. More time, more power, good sir. The greatest compliment I was given was actually at the Ottawa protest, the trucker protest. One of the military men said, Viva, you're a force multiplier. And I'm like, yeah, thank you. He's like, you have no idea what that means, do you? I was like, nope, I've never been in the military. And he said, a force multiplier. I could figure out roughly what it meant. Can create exponential results. And I found that to be a fantastically flattering compliment. I found it to be complimenting at the time. And I was going to drive up. I was going to drive up when they had the hurricane in Florida. And, it hit the Gulf Coast on the west side. I was going to go up there. And then like, Viva, don't go up there. It's not exactly safe. When people are going around with guns, it's probably not a good situation to walk into. I was going to drive up. I'm tempted to drive up to North Carolina. I've got a beautiful 4-wheel Bronco. I can drive on terrain that cars can't. I could be useful, but it's obviously not feasible. So what else can I do? I can be a force multiplier down here. I forgot what the hell I was going to say. It doesn't matter. You got the link. Let me give you the link in YouTube. Okay. The government is terrible. We all know it. The government is just outright terrible. But before we get into any of that, people, you may have noticed the Give, Send, Go was not a sponsor, even though they have sponsored previous shows. I interviewed Jacob Wells. He's an amazing human being. He's created an amazing company, and Give, Send, Go is the only crowdfunding that anybody should ever use, period, full stop. The sponsor of today's show, however, is the Wellness Company and your Contagion Kit, because people, if it doesn't feel like the world is melting down right now, I'm not sure where you've been. Tensions over the upcoming election, economic instability, supply chain shortages, and health threats popping up left and right. We are all probably having anxiety attacks if you're anything like me. And I'm having nightmares of cataclysm. Anyways, forget me for a second. Well, with the talk of the new pandemic on the horizon, if you're waiting for medical industrial complex to protect you and your family when things go sideways, you're making a huge mistake. They won't, and you've got to be prepared and take action yourself. That's why I want to tell you about the Wellness Company's Contagion Emergency Kit. It's a lifesaver, literally, put together by real experts like Dr. Peter McCullough. Inside, you've got medications like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, budesonide, even a nebulizer. These are critical medications to treat respiratory illness and so much more, especially heading into the flu season. Can you imagine when you or your loved ones need life-saving medications? You're stuck up in North Carolina now, and the government ain't coming to help you. Are you going to take the risk of being told no? You're going to take the risk of the shelves being empty like we're seeing up there now. Don't let anyone play gatekeeper with your health. Just a few clicks, you'll have this medical box kit right at your front door. Peace of mind for uncertain times. Check out TWC, that is the Wellness Company, or Tango Whiskey Charlie.health/Viva. Promo code Viva for $30 off and free shipping. That is TWC.health/Viva. Viva, promo code for $30 off and free shipping. Don't wait till the next crisis. Be proactive. Get yours today. And look, it's not all crisis and it's not all doom and gloom. Sometimes you just want to have a damn good cup of coffee in the morning. And in order to do that, you're going to have to go to our... I did shut the screen. I want to show you the product it's delicious coffee, people. $17.75. We're building the parallel economy. By the way, I'm going to be up in Orlando next week with a Squarespace Public Square event with Rumble. And we'll be talking about the importance of a parallel economy. But if you want to drink amazing coffee while you're there. Let's be real. Most K-Cup pods are full of moldy, pesticide-laden garbage. Corporate chains like Dunkin' Crappin' Donuts are serving up stale coffee with a side of toxic sludge, and they expect you to thank them for it. But 1775 coffee isn't about a corporate soy boy nonsense. That's where 1775 Rumble's partner. They're building the parallel economy and serving coffee lovers who love them and they love themselves. It's a lot of love right there. They're making a beautiful competition to all of those packet things. 1775 is where you can get your real morning cup of coffee. Their new K-Cup pods. Single origin, high altitude beans, handpicked for real flavor. No fillers, no mold, whether you're into medium roast or dark roast or the mushroom blend to boost your brain. While you're at it, to laugh at big tech, 1775's got you covered. You don't have to sacrifice quality just because you want convenience. Go to 1775.com, 1775coffee.com. Grab your 24-pack. Promo code VIVA. I actually don't know what that promo code is going to get you. You put it in there. You'll get your good coffee. All right, people. Deep breath. Let me make sure my phone is on. You know, Johnny Cash used to sing at the Folsom Blues at, where did he sing them at? Fulton Prison? And the other one there, it starts with a Q. In California. I was just there. No, I wasn't there. I was in California. Whatever. We are having Dexter Taylor, who's going to call us from prison because he's serving currently a 10-year prison sentence for having built his own ghost guns. And I'm putting that in quotes, and it's a bullshit misnomer because it's all traceable. It all had serial number, parts, components. It was all legally ordered online, delivered to his own apartment in Commie, New York. He was raided, I think, by the, I want to say it would not be the DEA. It would have been the ATF. He was raided by the ATF. He was tried for having possessed unlawful firearms in the state of New York, where apparently, according to Judge Darkay, who was the judge in that case, the Second Amendment doesn't exist, convicted and sentenced to a decade in prison. A man with no prior criminal record, much like Tina Peters, law-abiding, respectable, tax-paying citizen, much like Tina Peters. The state said, no, your Second Amendment right doesn't really exist here in New York. And they arrested him, raided him, charged him, tried him, convicted him, and sentenced him to a decade in prison. We talk frequently. He calls me and he's allowed doing interviews. Actually, I don't want to spoil his surprise. I'll let him explain it, but he's going to be calling shortly. So I got my phone on. When he calls, the prison system, it takes like a good 2.5 to 3 minutes to go through all of the paying for the phone call type thing. So I'll do that while I play a video for you, but that's what's happening first. Then we're going to about Tina Peters, who herself, Gold Star mom, 69-year-old wonderful woman, no criminal record, convicted of charges that nobody understands. And you're going to tell me a jury of her peers understood these charges? Horse crap. We're going to talk about that absolute outrage of an injustice because she was convicted and then sentenced by, what's the Karen version of a man? A Chad? No, a Chad's not the right one. A Kyle? Do we call it? Yeah, Kyle might be good because there's a couple of Kyles, left-wing Kyles, but there's a couple of right-wing Kyles on Twitter. We'll get there in a second. She was sentenced to 9 years for a non-violent, absolutely ridiculous series of charges because the judge, in all of his infinite wisdom, decided to give her multiple 3-year sentences and run them consecutively and not concurrently. Okay, so as I wait for the call from Dexter, let me read this. Good afternoon, Viva and the Rumble chat. Don't get to catch you live often and usually watch the replay. The Quartering gave you a shout out today in regards to people looking for Helene charities. Awesome. Thank you. That is Jeremy of the Quartering. Oftentimes we conflict in terms of scheduling, but the wonderful thing is I know that people watch these streams, not live, but on replay. It's fantastic. Passion Warrior from our wonderful vivabarneslaw.locals.com community. On the Jimmy Lee Rec Center shooting topic, I contacted the Ramsey County Sheriff's Department to be sure that they have their own incident report. They do. It's case number yada, yada, yada. Since I am not directly related to the case, I need to make a data request to the sheriff's office via email, and then we can go from there. Sounds like a runaround. Here's the email address, and I'm going to screen grab that myself. That's in our locals community. So as we wait for Dexter to call, I actually got, if you're following us in the locals community, and it's not behind a paywall, this is for all members. You just need to register. There's some stuff that's behind a paywall for the supporters, but the vast majority is for everybody in that community. I got the St. Paul Police Department incident report of the shooting that was allegedly witnessed by Tampon Tim, No Balls AWOL Walls. I got to remember his nickname. That it was witnessed by his son. Because I wanted to see if there was a witness report. Surely we would see the son's statement in a witness report. I got it. I mean, if you could believe it, they sent it to me within 24 hours, basically, or 36 hours. And it's an amazing thing. I had actually never seen a police report in that detail. And it's got basically what they call narratives from each and every officer who had anything to do with that day, who arrived, investigated, interrogated witnesses. And so it's a massive document. It's like 100 and, what is it, guys? Like 100 I don't remember. It's a long document. And I went through it. I didn't see any witness statement that resembled one that would have been given by, not a witness statement, but rather a narrative describing interrogations of a witness that would have resembled what Gus Waltz, Tim Walz's son, would have seen. The thing is, though, that all minor information on minors is redacted. So you wouldn't even see if you don't see the names, because Tim Walz's son at the time would have been 15 or 16. And so his info would be redacted on any of the incident report narrative descriptions. But I didn't see anything that sounds like it was a witness statement from Gus Waltz, but it's not really a determinate issue. I think it's just further confirmation of Tim Walz stealing valor for sympathy purposes to push anti-gun, anti-Second Amendment policy. So if you're in our community, you would have seen that by now. And what else? Let me just make sure. So I probably should have actually made sure that we're live across the interwebs here. We're live on YouTube. The link to Rumble, is it in the pinned comment? If it's not, it should be. And for those of you who don't know, you can snip, clip, and share away. The link to Rumble is in the pinned comment. Good. We're live on Rumble, obviously. We're live on vivabarneslaw.locals.com, obviously. And that's it. Oh, and then Gypsy Muse in our locals community says, thanking Pasha Moyer. Thank you for doing this groundwork. I was shocked that they actually provided the report to me so quickly by email. First, they DM'd me in Twitter the same night as my public tweet, and then they sent me the report basically the next day when after I had filed the report. And I start thinking, like, are they doing this because they don't like Tim Walz, because they want to show that he's lying about his son's proximity to the shooting, or do they like Tim Walz and they wanted to get it to me ASAP so that I could show the report showing that Tim is telling the truth prior to the election? Who the hell knows? All that I knows is that our locals community is reaping the benefits of that community. Okay, well, while we wait for Dexter to call, I do the work. I drive myself crazy so that you don't have to. Dementia Joe there gave a press conference this afternoon. I guess just, he gives a 10-minute press conference to show that he's still alive and can string together sentences, but only barely. I'm going to put together the montage of him slurring his words and saying nothing, like just falling off into the sunset. Like the sentence trails off into senility, dementia. Not that there's anything wrong with that. We all get old if we're lucky. But we ain't all president of these United States of America, as our deterioration is laid bare for the world to see, for every one of our enemies and friends to exploit us to the greatest extent possible. Joe Biden was asked a question about where's Kamala Harris in this. There's been a lot of crises this week. Hurricane, war in the Middle East. What was the other one? The port strike that they averted. Nice political resolution to that in time. He's asked this question. Listen to his answer, because my insightful observation on it, if I may characterize it as that, is that he's throwing Kamala Harris under the bus. If you think that he's not mad about being stabbed in the back and forced out of this race by that, if she's not stabbing you in the back, she's doing something else. If you think that he's not angry at her, I will disagree. Nobody can prove intent here, but I think he's angry. And I think this serves as evidence that he's throwing her under the bus in the most passive-aggressive manner possible. Enjoy.
There have obviously been a number of crises that the country has been facing over the past several days, with the hurricane, with the port strike, with the situation in the Middle East. Can you talk about how your vice president, who is running for the presidency, has worked on these crises and what role she has played over the past several days?
Well, I'm in constant contact with her. She's aware we're singing from the same song sheet.
Singing from the same song sheet. Write it down.
Passed all the laws that are being employed now.
She helped pass all the laws. Major player.
In everything we've done. Including passage of legislation which we were told we could never pass. And so she's been, and her staff is interlocked with mine.
Interlocked.
In terms of all the things we're doing.
There have obviously been a number of crises that the country has been facing.
I mean, you tell me if you think I'm exaggerating or if I'm going crazy or if I'm connecting dots that don't connect. He's basically saying we are interconnected. What movie was that from? Oh yeah, we're sharing a moment. Was that Chasing Amy? Oh God, that's a terrible movie. I think it's a terrible movie. I don't remember things anymore. I was Chasing Amy, right? We shared a moment. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, we're intertwined. Whatever my administration did, she helped draft the legislation. She helped pass that legislation. She's been integral. We're singing from the same song sheet. So when that biatch gets out on stage and tries to dissociate herself from my campaign, I ain't gonna let her. You're gonna throw me, Joe Biden, under the bus and say I'm not responsible for what he did when he was president because I wasn't president, I was merely vice president? Hey, Kamala, you're in that bus with me, and now you're going under that bus with me, Kamala. Oh, I think that he's trying to throw under the bus, but I might be connecting dots that don't connect. I see we have someone who thinks that I'm curious. Hold on, people. All right, I have to see this. I have to see this. Hold on. Do I care? There's someone in our Rumble community who, I mean, not that it doesn't exist in the YouTube community, who is connecting the Jewish dots as relates to what's going on in North Carolina. You can go over the chat there and see what's going on. Jews are the problem. And then we get into Kamala's husband. See, this is where, even if you were to, oh, you see, Judy, this is where you actually go one step too far, where even if people are going to say, yes, we can play that game, and I can appreciate the statistical overrepresentation in certain areas. Alejandro Mayorkas is Jewish. Merrick Garland is Jewish. A lot of people you might not have known. I can see that. But then when you get into like, okay, Kamala Harris's husband is Jewish. Yeah. What the hell has he had to do with any form of policy anywhere on any point? Okay. Interrupted. I can show you the number because it's from the prison. Let me take this call, people. Give me a second. And I'm going to play a video for you while I do it. Hold on. Listen.
An incarcerated individual at New York State Department
of Corrections. That's public knowledge. Let me just take it off just in case. And I'm going to play a video for you to watch. Okay, sorry guys, hold on a second. That's not the right video. I'm going to pay for the call. Hold on. Press 1. Costs 2.8 cents per minute. Plus a one-time transaction fee. You know, people, you might just have to. I'll play this. No, not that. Okay, hold on. I can't find a video to let's see. Records show I have a card on file. This is how long it takes every time just to connect. You know what? I'm just going to play the give, send, go again.
They are terrible, corrupt. They will squander your last taxpayer dollar to fund foreign proxy wars or for illegal aliens, such that when the time comes that there's a disaster and you need immediate and massive help, they say, sorry, we're almost out of budget for the remainder of the hurricane season. We won't get into that. Donald Trump sets up a fundraiser and has raised...
Subject to recording and monitoring. To continue, press 1. Oh, people, we're almost there. Hold on. Hold on, Dexter. Dexter, sir?
Yes, sir.
You are on speakerphone. I'm trying to pull up. I had a web page that I was going to pull up with your face on it so that people could know who we were talking to. Hold on a second. If I go like this.
Okay.
Dexter, first of all, so say hi to the world, and how is everything going?
Hello, which is an interesting thing for a computer guy. Everything is good, or as well as can be expected. Yeah, talking to you again. Yeah, and let's see. The most recent kind of interesting event has been my talk with CBS News a few days ago. This was on. This was on. What was that day? It was Wednesday, October 2nd. That's the day.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just looking at the chat. They say, how good can it... Okay, I'm turned up the mic as much as I can, people. So that's it. All right.
Okay.
Dexter, okay. Now hold on.
I'm gonna hang a second. I'm gonna get the mic as close to my mouth as I can. I've rigged something here so I can put it in my buttonhole of my shirt. Right. And that's and I'll try to speak up as clearly as possible.
I feel like I'm pulling a Kamala Harris here. I have you on speakerphone, which means that the audio is going to be coming out of the bottom. Like it's coming out of here. Okay, good. This is as good as it's going to get, people. Dexter.
All right.
For anybody who, I gave the brief heads up, and you've been on the channel. We did an interview the week of your trial. Just remind everybody what you were charged with, how it went down. Was it the ATF that raided you?
No, ATF. It was not the ATF that raided me. Although ATF was on the scene, there were a couple of people wearing ATF windbreakers, but it was mostly NYPD because this was a New York State affair. I didn't catch any federal charges. That ATF looked around and left the scene. They apparently found nothing worth their time. So this is a New York State case, a state case, not a federal case. And I was charged. I was hit with a number of charges, most of which, as I recall, were felony weapons possession. So possessing a firearm in my home.
Felony weapons possession. These were of firearms that you constructed in your apartment based on kits that you were ordering lawfully online and having delivered to your apartment.
That's correct. Kits that I ordered under my own name, no subterfuge, no concealment, all on one credit card to make it easier for me to manage my books and what have you. And they weren't. They were kits that I ordered the parts separately. But yes, the 80% receivers, as they're commonly called, were that's the part that has everyone dizzy as far as the kind of the anti-gun people, the anti-Second Amendment people really running New York. But yes, that's the thing. I constructed 5 or 6 block-style pistols and 8 AR-style rifles, 7 of which were AR-15s, 1 of which was an AR-10. And so that was why I got raided. That's why I got locked up, and that's why I'm sitting here right now. And it's interesting. I'm glad you mentioned the trial because a few things I've been thinking about with respect to the trial. We can get to those, whenever you like.
Oh no, let's do it now. So, well, first of all, so you get charged on state charges.
Yes, sir.
You go for trial before a jury of your peers. We'll put that in quotes. And
in quotes, that should be in quotes. Yes.
And at some point during the trial, the judge Darkay, who I don't call her an activist, I looked into her family history a little bit. Might be more of the same in terms of Judge Chutkin and other judges, Judge Marchand, but had a clear agenda. She literally did say, "Don't bring in your Second Amendment arguments into this court. The Second Amendment doesn't exist in this state."
Something like that. Yeah, the Second Amendment has no place here. It was very interesting because the question was brought in. She was switched in at the last moment. We'd originally been all my other appearances had been before one judge, and then I think we got another judge named I can't remember her name. Heidi Cesare, I think her name was. But at the very last minute, this judge, new judge, Darkay, was switched in. I found out later that she fundraiser, one of the fundraisers. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, let me just say, so
Just
just in case people didn't hear that, married to one of the Brooklyn DA's top fundraisers.
Right.
Okay.
And during the trial, what I thought was interesting was, the whole conduct of the affair. At the beginning of the trial, of course, both lawyers make opening statements. The prosecution makes an opening statement, and the defense makes an opening statement. This judge interrupted my lawyer's opening statement maybe 5 or 6 times. And when I say interrupted, I don't just mean say, hey, a pause, you can't say that here or whatever. I mean, stop everything. Let's all go into the back. So, not even a sidebar. Like everyone, followed her into a back room, closed the door, and then a couple minutes later, everyone would emerge from the back room and people would take their positions again. She'd go back on the bench again, and he'd continue with no kind of admonition or no, we paused this because you said this that you shouldn't say, that, nothing like that. Just like, stop. Okay, start again. Right, and that happened 5 or 6 times during the opening, during my lawyer's opening statement. And then, of course, during the trial, what was really amusing to me was that I'd never heard a judge make an objection. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm used to the idea of at trial, if the defense says something or asks something to which the prosecution objects, then the prosecutor will say objection, and vice versa. The prosecution says something the defense doesn't like, the defense will say objection. But in this trial, in addition to the regular objections were made by either side, this judge raised what seemed to me an awful lot of objections herself. when my guy was questioning one of the witnesses against me. So, one example was we had done a lot of background research, me and my legal team, about the broken and very obviously corrupt permitting system in New York. And one of the police witnesses was an officer who worked in the permitting department. I can't remember his name. And this guy's very presence and his demeanor and the whole, like everything about him kind of pointed up the fact that this permitting system is broken. He didn't seem to know anything. He didn't seem to know his job. He didn't seem to be very competent. But he was just kind of, how can I put this? He just had a bad attitude. You know what I'm saying? At one point, when my lawyer was questioning him, he turned around and said, well, that question is irrelevant. He said, well, hang on a second. Let me ask the question, and, that's not your lookout to decide whether my question is irrelevant. But what was noticeable was or notable, I should say, was when my lawyer asked him, well, what's your job at the NYPD? And he says, well, I own the records at the permitting department. And my lawyer says, okay, well, how many people applied for permits in 2024? I don't know. What? What do you mean? Well, why don't you know? Objection from the judge now. Right? Like when my lawyer starts digging into, well, hang on a second. This is your job. You own records. We're trying to figure out, we have certain claims about the nature of the permitting system in New York and what have you. And you don't know how many people applied for permits this year. How about last year? I don't know. Why don't you know? Objection from the judge.
It's wild because the bottom line is, in New York State, if you want to own a firearm, you've got to register it with the state.
Right. And not only that, each time you buy, you have to ask the state's permission. This is very important. You have to ask the state's permission to exercise your Second Amendment rights, even quietly, privately at home. Carrying a weapon in the street is a separate matter because, of course, none of my weapons ever left my house, ever so much as crossed the threshold of my house. It's a separate matter. But even just to have one in your house, you have to ask the state's permission. Then, for each firearm you purchase, you have to go back and ask their permission again. May I buy this new firearm? And then, they give you a thumbs up or thumbs down, and then you're authorized exercise your Second Amendment rights. And of course, I don't expect everyone to be a Second Amendment advocate like I am, but the fact is, if you believe at all in the right to keep and bear arms, then it's very obvious that at that point, it's not a right anymore. It's a privilege. If you have to ask the state's permission to exercise a right, it's not a right anymore. You've given that up, and they've taken it from you, and they've handed you is a privilege, which can be snatched back at any time. And the example I always give when people say, well, it's just a registration, it's just a paperwork, it's just this, it's just that, is okay. Well, what if you had to ask the state's permission, to practice your religious creed? What if to be a lawful Jew in the state of New York, you had to ask the state's you had to say, well, here's my background, here's my social media information, here are my passwords, this, that, so on. Here's some letters from my neighbors. It's like, okay, yes, you're allowed to profess the religion of Abraham, right? Or what if you had to ask New York State or New York City if you were allowed to declare for Christ? It's like, well, we'll see. We'll get back to you on that. Look for a letter in the mail from us.
Yeah, Dexter, like the irony is, though, when it comes to the medical exemptions for the COVID shot, they were doing that sort of analysis as to people's sincerely held religious beliefs, and you got to run everything by the state, and they become the ultimate adjudicators of who gets to exercise their so-called constitutional rights.
Well, that's right. That's right. And the only, I think, one of the only reasons. One of the only reasons a state like New York can get away with this is because of the kind of what I think of as the degraded and debased way that we think about liberty and that we think about this right, this civil right in particular. Even when I was being interviewed by CBS News, who was a very nice gentleman named Maurice Dubois, who interviewed me. I had to kind of pound on that point for a little bit. Because he had this. I don't know if it's gonna make it to the editing suite, but when I talked about the right to keep and bear arms as a civil right, he had an instinctive aversion to that. He was like, "Well, no, that's totally different." Well, no, it's not actually. No. It's actually not, right? And it's just funny to me that people who say they're very much in favor of civil rights, people who will quote. Past civil rights leaders to their heart's content, people who always bring it up Martin Luther King and so on and so forth, don't, for whatever reason, they don't want to see this as a civil right. Because if it were, I think if they admit that it is in fact a civil right, then that would open the door to questions about, well, why aren't you fighting for it? Why aren't you defending it? Why don't you care about it? In the same sense, of course, and you've heard me say this before, as a black guy, and as a conservative, as a politically homeless conservative, I got to hear some of these political hacks, talk incessantly about, murderous white supremacists who are out to get us and who are going to kill us and what have you. And it's just odd to me now that not that long after whole cities were shut down because the police are this and that, and we have to defund the police. And this. After all this, right? Many of those same people are dead silent on the matter of the right to keep and bear arms. Well, if murderous white supremacists out to kill me, don't you think I should be able to defend myself? And isn't it weak sauce to say, well, no, just call the police? Oh, the same police you wanted to defund 5 seconds ago, the same police that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of ironies in this.
Well, and when I interviewed you, and my issue and question was, I said on the black and white letter of the law, you're dead to rights, and especially if you can't invoke the Second Amendment. And so I don't want to ask what you were relying on in order to be acquitted, maybe jury nullification. Bottom line, you get convicted, I guess unanimously. And then Darkey sentences you to 10 years in a state prison.
That's right.
First time offense, no prior criminal record, tax-paying citizen, upstanding citizen, engineer. You have a podcast, Carbon Mike Radio, and sentenced to 10 years.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, this is, you really. It was interesting. Yeah, I mean, going back to the first thing, yeah, it turns out that it is illegal. New York State knows exactly how to rig the game. New York State has rigged the game. It's illegal to argue jury nullification. Like if my lawyer had tried to directly argue for jury nullification, he would have been in danger of losing his license. Like you can't do it, which is odd, right? I mean, it's, in other words, you can't simply apply appeal when you're speaking to the jurors. You can't appeal to their sense of conscience, their sense of decency, their sense of justice, and of course, the supreme law of the land. You can't do that. You can't do that, right? So we knew, that I didn't go to this with my eyes closed. My lawyer will tell you that I told him in one of our conversations before the trial began, I said, I give us maybe a little bit better than a coin toss, in terms of my chance of being acquitted. But this whole enterprise, this whole thing of trying to get New York to obey the law of the land, to obey the Constitution, and to respect New Yorkers' civil rights, all of them. We knew, and especially I knew, that we weren't going to get there without suffering and without sacrifice. Just how it is. But again, it was just funny to me to see the way it broke down, and of course the way the prosecution asked for 10 years, and she gave them exactly what they wanted. Yeah. They asked for the maximum, she gave them the maximum.
How long have you been in for so far?
Oh well, I mean, really, I went in the moment that verdict was issued, right? Because I'm a violent felon. That is because having a firearm in your house is, according to New York State, a violent felony. Mm-hmm. There was no question of me being out on bail until the sentence was issued. So the moment the verdict came down, I went inside, right? And so I think that was April. That was April of this year is when the trial was over.
And now I know you don't like talking about it because you don't want sympathy, and I appreciate that. And I'm not asking the question for sympathy, but you need to just give everybody the rundown. I mean, we've all seen The Shawshank Redemption. We've seen all of the movies. What is life like at the facility that you're at?
I mean, it's beyond. I appreciate the question, but it's beyond the scope of any one discussion to say what life is like at this facility. You're inside a big machine whose job it is to waste time. That's what it's like. You're inside a giant government-run machine whose job it is to throw time away. So that's what's going on. Like I said before, there are guys in here who've experienced a lot worse than I have, more intensely and for longer than I have. So I just, for myself, I'm not going to dwell on the 1,000 little indignities of being a prisoner and how the corrections officers act. Some of them are very decent, some of them are quite disrespectful. That's neither here nor there. It wouldn't make a difference as far as my moral outrage about this thing. It wouldn't make a difference if I were imprisoned in the Marriott. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. The complaint is that I'm here in the first place.
Well, I mean, prison under the most ideal of circumstances is only going to get so good. It's prison. You're away from your family and everything. Tell everybody, because I mean, I know the story already, but so you got an interview, or CBS News. Not that any of us think much of them, came in and did an interview. Maurice Dubois, everybody can look him up. How did that come about, and what was the purpose that, from your surmising of what they were trying to get at by interviewing you, and how did it go?
I still care. Okay. First question first, how it came about. Apparently, I spoke to my lawyer at one point, and he put a producer on the line to speak to me. This was the producer of this same segment, Stephanie Cassell, I believe her name is, and And apparently she had read the write-up about my case in the Gothamist magazine, and it struck her funny, I guess. And she said she decided to go further. So she contacted my lawyer, and one thing led to another, and they decided that they were going to send a news crew up. So at the time I spoke to her, they had already made the decision to actually do a story, do a segment on it. And so the question was just kind of scheduling and details like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it had originally been scheduled, I think, for last week, last week or week before, but I think they were overtaken by events. There's a lot of interesting things happening, especially in New York. It was an interesting news week. It was a very hot news week. So they said they postponed it, but this week it actually happened. It was an unusual experience as far as my prison experiences go. We had the interview in the video conferencing room. This prison has a video conferencing room. It looks like a regular office conference room. So looking that you would never think it's a prison. Muted paint job, carpet, cushiony chairs, so on and so forth. I was ready. I spent a lot of my time just getting ready for the kinds of questions and more importantly, the kind of tone I assumed I was going to get from CBS News, because of course they are a mainstream media outlet. I was pleasantly surprised that the tone of the interview was not out and out hostile. I got a few of the questions that you would expect from people who are who come from a more or less pro gun control point of view, right? But I was surprised that it wasn't really hostile. Pleasantly surprised. And so we had a nice conversation. He asked me about my background, my educational career, so to speak. My background as a software engineer, and yes, about the yes.
No, that's
we went into some details
you're in for 10 years. I don't know at what point you get let out for good behavior, which won't be an issue, but you are obviously appealing this in the interim. I won't ask strategy, but what state of the appeal are you at?
Well, I mean, the appeal is pretty much paused because our fundraising has more or less come to I wouldn't say a standstill, but very close to a standstill, which is understandable because, when I started to, I went public. As you know, I've been doing conservative content online for quite a while now as Carbon Mike, and even after I got raided, I kind of kept that secrecy, that cordon sanitaire between my Carbon Mike identity and my real name. And at a certain point, having discussed it with my attorney, I decided that it was time to go public. So from the time I went public, I got a lot of support and a lot of encouragement from pro-Second Amendment people, a lot of my conservative friends online, people who've never heard of me online, but heard about the case and were outraged, and so our fundraising was kind of moving along at a brisk pace because of that, because of all that publicity and all the good people who interviewed me, the people who passed me a microphone, people like Sonny Johnson, Chris Cooper from National Association I was incommunicado for quite a period. Specifically, when I left Rikers to go into the state system, because as you know, I did some talks, some interviews while I was in Rikers. You know, you talked to me a couple times, I believe, while I was in Rikers. But once I moved from Rikers to the state system, like everything shut down. Like I couldn't make any phone calls. I couldn't do anything. Like no one even knew exactly where I was. I was just quote unquote in transit.
Yeah.
And basically transit is a euphemism for just being in, being moved from one kind of verminous cell to another, where you spend kind of 24 hours a day in the cell, and you just wait there to be transited to that facility. So I was in transit for a while, in what they call long-term reception at Elmira State Prison, which is just like a processing hub for prisoners.
Dexter,
And
Dexter,
most of that time, sorry.
give me 1 second. I'm going to destroy a dog here. Hold on. I got to let my dog out of the office. Hold on for a second. Get out. Get out. She's starting to whine. Okay. Jeez Louise. Yeah. The last thing anybody wants to hear is my silly dog whining at the front door. Okay. Sorry about that. So you get it. You lose connectivity, and then I presume that has an impact.
Lose connectivity. Lose connectivity. No, I mean, I think I was on 2 phone calls the entire time, a month and a half or so I was in Elmira. So now that I'm kind of, I'm where I've landed at my assigned facility, which is Coxsackie State Prison. And better yet, now that they finished rolling out this new system where we can use these Android tablets they've given us as phones, it means that I can call you from my cell. I can call anyone from my cell, and kind of people can hear from me again. Because even here, like we have, of course, there's phones in the rec yard, but getting on the phones is a hit and miss thing.
And they limit the calls to 20 minutes.
And they limit the calls, exactly, right? So now that things are kind of stabilized a little bit, now what we have to do is kind of wake our PR effort back up and start to reach out to people and start to get that going again. Because again, we've already, me and my family. I mean, I made good money when I was working as a software engineer, but aside from that, we're humble folks. So we already tapped out in terms of what we could pay for legal fees, but the process itself is just very expensive. It just is. I mean, one fact, you have to pay for your own transcripts.
Yep.
You don't just get the transcript of your trial, and we had to pay thousands of dollars for this file, for this electronic file that the court generated while I was being tried. And of course, you can't do anything without the transcript. This is one small example. But yeah, they've made the process very expensive, and so we've just got to raise money, and then the appeals process can go on from where it's paused right now.
It's still, if I'm going to share the link, it's still the Give Send Go link, right? It's the old Give Send Go. That's
Yes, sir.
it says it's Taylor _2nd day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
Okay.
let me. I just got the 1 minute warning, so let me terminate this call and call you right back.
Okay.
We can put it back.
Sounds good. All right, people, while he does that, let me get something to keep us occupied. Ocupados. Well, let's see. I just got a DM from talking about political prisoners. Here, I'll entertain you with entertain in the most cynical way possible. A tweet from Jason Levine about the Coots 4, the men in Canada who are what I consider to be Canada's political prisoners. Hold on, let me just bring this up so that when Dexter calls back. I hope the audio is as good as I'm trying to think of a logistical way. He's got to call me on my phone, so it's got to come in that way. Hold on, Jason Levine here. Okay, people, enjoy this while I play this.
What do you know about 3%ers?
Hearing it.
Know much about them.
Okay. Now, why would somebody say that there was talk about 3%ers here among your group?
I don't know. Maybe there is.
Do you guys?
I'm not part of it.
No, you're not a part of it?
They don't. No one's ever contacted me and made me. How they go. I don't know how they find the numbers.
Have you guys ever just kind of like, because I'm telling you that came up. There was conversations among your group where in fact people were, I'll have to look through all like there's, like I show you here. I just asked them to pull a few sheets here. Let me show you. These are transcripts from The Wire. You can imagine how many pages that would be all here. I said, give me some stuff to talk to him about. But they're telling me there was stuff that was said, and I'm not sure if it was on The Wire too, in the presence of an undercover operator, where I don't know if it's you talking, but somebody's saying that that guy's a 3%er. I feel like it was you who's saying about Teddy Bear Chris.
This call is subject to recording and monitoring. To continue, press 1. To disconnect, press 2. You may start the conversation.
Forever. Takes forever. Dexter.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay, we're back. Mike, how long does that take? It takes
All right.
It takes 3 minutes every time. Okay, sorry.
That's government. That's government efficiency for you. That's how that goes.
So,
yeah, that's. I think when we terminated, I was just talking about the kind of the pause
in the fundraising for appeal, but it is you're fundraising, but it is currently under appeal. You obviously are appealing this because the alternative is a decade in prison. Okay.
Oh yes, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I mean, absolutely.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, there's a bit of a delay on the line. A couple of things I wanted to highlight. You asked me about the conditions in the prison. This is and we've talked about this before. Maybe I'm just funny like that, but I just think it's in bad taste for me to complain on my own behalf. Again, when there's a lot more people going through things that would send a chill up your spine,
Mm-hmm.
But I can say that this system we have, this system is broken, right? This correction, this so-called correction system is broken. It does not do what it says on the box. If it's a correction system, then it needs to at least make a gesture toward actually correcting things. And so it's no good to have people sitting in their cells all day or for most of the day. When you've got the facilities, there is a welding shop here, there's a painting shop here, there's a computer lab here. But for one reason or another, these are very often closed, and that's a problem. And when Maurice Dubois from CBS asked me about the conditions, what I gave him much the same answer that I give you when you ask about the conditions. I said, look, this is a troubled facility in a big broken system, and the fundamental problem here is that the voters of New York State, the taxpayers of New York State, want a prison system, but they don't really want to have to pay for it, and they don't really want to be reminded that it exists. Mm-hmm. That's the number one problem, and they don't want to be reminded that the people in here are in fact people. These men that I'm in prison with, right, my fellow prisoners, they are in fact people. Their sons, their fathers, they are cousins, their nephews, so on. They're human beings, right? They're Americans, and they have come here as punishment, not for punishment, right? Not to be additionally punished by whatever officer sees fit. The fact that they are here is the punishment. And as with other things, people who put my content know that I'm big on the importance of internal transformation first before we start talking about political transformation. We've got to get right with certain ideas first, with ourselves, and with each other, with our neighbors, and then we can talk about the politics. And so that's what we have to get right with, is that yes, people will do evil things, and the state, we have decided as as it is now, the system, this is not a system for a society that wants to actually rehabilitate people and get them back to being productive citizens, or get them into being productive citizens. So that's what I'll say. And there's a lot of work to be done. And there are people on the outside, right, who are more qualified than I am, who've been working on prison reform for a while. And there are people in here, there are prisoners in here who are much more qualified than I am to talk about the problems. There are problems and they need to be addressed. And I'm hoping some investigative journalist or podcaster influencer kind of takes up that banner and says, okay, well, what's going on in there, and how can I shed some light on that, because it's necessary. I mean, a very small example is I talked to you about being in transit. Okay, well, like I said, when you're in transit, you're in these temporary lodgings. Okay, the lodgings are usually filthy. Why? Because there's a lot of turnover when prisoners on transit go through. You need an enhanced maintenance regime to keep up with that. But there's not the money, there's not the funding to pay for more maintenance and more cleaning and more regular painting and what have you to keep up with that. So you just have this system where, the cells are filthy. You go to long-term reception. There's a big bottleneck in terms of counselors. You have to see what is called a counselor, which is more like a quarterback, someone who coordinates things on behalf of the inmate. There's not enough of them in the system, right? So you've got guys waiting for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks just to talk to a counselor. Mm-hmm. And of course, you can't make a phone call unless you talk to a counselor first. You see, so now when someone is convicted of a crime, and let's say they want to appeal, their whole legal, it's not just me, their whole legal process comes to a standstill. They can't talk to their attorney, they can't talk to anybody, right, for an indeterminate period of time, right, until they're processed, through this thing. Come on, we can do better than that. Well, as a society, we can do better than that.
It's amazing. I've now, I've spoken with, I don't say, under a half dozen, maybe about a half dozen people who've gone to jail, and after their experience, they all say the same thing. It's like people don't appreciate how absolutely awful the treatment is, how non-corrective it is, and the people rationalize it to themselves. Say, well, they're guilty, they're murders, whatever. They don't deserve better, until you find out that innocent. On the one hand, innocent people are in there, and on the other hand, even you have to have a certain amount of dignity and rehabilitation, even for the guilty ones, if the system's to work at all. Otherwise, it's just going to continue to be what it is, a run-for-profit private system for the most part, or for in part.
Well, that's correct. I just wanted to add to that. It's funny because people, I think I've said to you in a prior conversation that I'm disappointed with many of my fellow conservatives who should be in the lead on this thing, right? Why should we leave this very important function of the state to a bunch of progressives and materialists who've ruined everything else that they put their hands on? Why should we do that? Why? So yes, you're quite right, and it's funny to me that people who call themselves small government conservatives, people who don't trust the government to do the right thing in other circumstances, when it comes to conviction and imprisonment, they automatically assume that the government has done everything correctly and will continue to do everything correctly. Well, why? What? How come your skepticism about the ability of government to do things correctly is so selective? And that's people who've heard my content know that's a horse I'm beating all the time.
What you opened my eyes to that I you see it in the movies and you never actually appreciate it is the, call it mandatory labor, or not mandatory, but optional labor, or slave labor in prison. Like, they're actually using inmates. I had no idea this is actually true, to work both for, to produce items for other inmates, but also for private enterprise who use inmate labor, and you guys get paid a penny, whatever, 13 pennies an hour or something?
Well, I say I shrink back from calling it slave labor, because to me that means the institution of chattel slavery as practiced around the world, really. I mean, not just here. means a very specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
I signed up, for example, yes, the pay is very low, but I signed up for the industry program, right? Because why? Because I didn't want to sit in the cell all day.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I could have sat in the cell all day, but I signed up for industry. And yes, the pay is very small. I mean, at max, you'll make close to $1 an hour. If you get your completion bonus, you'll get $1 an hour. I think one of the problems there is that you have this exclusive contract. One company has an exclusive contract with New York State to make all the garments, for example. So they get to run things that they like. And of course, it's illegal if prisoners decide that they don't like work conditions or what have you. Now, to be fair, our work conditions were, this was a well-lit facility. It was properly ventilated. So I'm coming from an on-site garment factory. But if we decide to protest it, and if that's illegal, pretty much like prisoners organizing, whatever is illegal, you'll be punished for that, right? So, there's, you ask them, like, how would you fix the system? I wouldn't even know where to start necessarily. I have to really think about it. And again, I think again, I refer you to talk to people, other prisoners who are much more qualified to talk about what's wrong and how they might fix things if they had to go by it. But the fundamental thing is that you have to go back to what the right purpose of a thing is. And the right purpose of a rehabilitation system, of a correction system, is to rehabilitate and correct. And if it's not doing that, then something's got to change. I know that much. Yeah.
All right, man. And there was one other question. How can people reach you? The people can mail stuff to you if they want to help you, support you, write you letters, keep you connected?
Yeah, they can send letters to me, and several people already have. And I always love to receive letters. So yeah, people can send letters and postcards. All the letters and postcards I got when I was in Rikers were seized and destroyed when I entered the state system. But I've gotten some wonderful correspondence since I've been in the state system. And so people can do that. And the other thing people can do is they can sign up with Securus, SECURUS. I think the website is securus.com. They can sign up for an account on there, and that'll let them send me email and you can send email and pictures and so on and so forth.
So it's called Securus, SECURUS. I looked. I see JPay. That's what I'm thinking. But what address?
Yeah, so JPay was the original name of the system. So you'd have a JPay account, but I think there was some kind of a weird merger and acquisition thing behind the scenes. So now everything is Securus. Right?
Okay.
So and so you said what address? It is. Hang on a second. I actually have it.
Yeah, and as you do that, I'm going to write it down as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's.
Yes. He's still there. He's still there. Okay. Hold on, peeps. We're going to get the address in a few seconds here. Trying to pull up the website for Securus. I see Securus JPay. Dexter, did we lose you? He might have gone to get something. It's now easy to make a deposit to their account. Click here to make a deposit. Let's see here. What is this? I'm getting a prompt. Okay, I'm gonna wait a few seconds to see if we haven't lost Dexter. That's for sure. Okay, I'm still on the line. Okay, give us a few seconds here, people, and I'll get the address. And after this, we're going to talk about Tina Peters, so don't worry about that. Unless we lost Dexter. Dexter? Give him one more minute. And then if I've lost him, I'll get his address and share it with everybody afterwards. Where is Dexter incarcerated? Asks Ollie Loving. In the Coxsackie Correctional Facility. I never stop laughing when I see that. When I say it, it's called Coxsackie. Coxsackie. Oh, there's a Coxsackie virus. Correctional Facility. So Coxsackie Correctional Facility is where Dexter is. Let me show you all the link there. El Coxsackie Correctional Facility. Up in
The caller has hung up.
All right. Well, when I get the address, I'll give it to everybody. Now I'm going to put this back on, and we might have run out of our allotted time. People, I hope you heard well enough. And that's Dexter in prison. No Second Amendment in New York State. People, get the hell out of New York State. Oh Lordy. Okay, and I'll hear back from him in a bit. I don't know what happened, but. Okay, this is going to take another. Hold on. While I do that, let me just do this. I'm going to get this here. Hold on, people. I'll give you a video to watch for the good 3 minutes it takes to do this time. And thank you for bearing with me, but these are the logistical realities of talking to someone in jail. Here, listen. Behold the judge in Tina Peters' case right now. Here we go.
You have no qualms with violating the court's orders because you're innocent, because you didn't do anything wrong. You were just doing your job. You have no problem trying to kick an officer. Your explanation about what happened is preposterous. It's on video. You have no problem lying to officers. It's happened multiple times. They're recorded conversations. It's just more lies. No objective person believes them. No, at the end of the day, you cared about the jets, the podcasts, and the people fawning over you. You abdicated your position as a servant to the Constitution, and you chose you over all else. Yes, you are a charlatan, and you cannot help but lie as easy it is for you to breathe. You betrayed your oath for no one other than you. And this is what makes Miss Peters such a danger to our community. It's the position she held that has provided her the pulpit from which she can preach these lies, the undermining of our democratic process, the undermining of the belief and confidence in our election systems. It's not about questioning it.
Charlotte.
No one says you can't question, you can't ask.
This is an actual judge,
completely
people.
different.
Okay. Bring Dexter back. Hold on, people. Am I on speakerphone? Okay, Dexter, sorry. How you doing?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it was weird. I just dropped out of the call for. I can hear you talking for a bit, but I know you couldn't hear me.
Yeah.
Like where is it? But yeah, did you get the whole address?
No, I didn't. I didn't hear anything actually.
Okay, so Coxsackie Correctional Facility. That's PO Box 999.
PO Box 999.
Coxsackie, New York.
Coxsackie, New York. Okay.
No. No. COXSAC.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, fine. Got that. Yep.
Yeah, and then the zip code is 12051.
All right.
-0999.
0999 666 upside down twice in one address. Okay. I don't like it.
I knew you were going to pick up on that. I knew.
Okay, so that's PO Box 999, Coxsackie, New York 12051-0999. That's, and then they put to the attention of Dexter Taylor.
Well, yeah, and they have to include my PIN number, my prisoner ID number. That's very important.
Okay, prisoner ID number, which is what?
Yeah, which is my DIN number. DIN is 24.
Yep.
Bravo. That's B, letter B.
Yep.
24 Bravo 2275.
2275. Okay. prisoner identification number. Is it a VIN or a PIN?
Neither. It's Delta India November.
Okay. Hold on a second. Let me get this. Delta. Okay. Okay.
It's called the DIN number, and DIN is spelled Delta India November.
Okay, fine. DIN. All right, now I'm going to go screen grab for myself, and I'm going to hit send for everybody else. So P.O. Box 999, Coxsackie, New York, 12051, 12051-0999. DIN is 24, B like Bravo, 2275.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to share that both in Rumble. So expect some letters. What can people not send you by way of mail? No, I won't make jokes.
That's a good question. It depends, because the way this prison, I don't know about other prisons, but this prison is highly arbitrary. Like it may be down to what mood the person in the package room is in that day. I mean, that's how bad. I don't know. You can definitely. Here's the thing. One thing you can't send is anything from a private address. You have to send it through. I mean, you can send mail, of course, but other books and things like that, you have to go through a registered distributor. So Amazon works. There's a company called Emma. I don't know what the website is, but it's a company that specializes in sending things to people who are incarcerated. And there are a couple other ones that serve New York State. But Target works, I believe. They'll accept packages from Target, but no one can send me care packages from a private place that won't do, a private dwelling that won't do.
Okay.
And then what people can send, it depends. My mom tried to send me some ground up flaxseed to put in my hot cereal, and they rejected that because they said you can't send flour, you can't send Q-tips for whatever reason. You can't. I mean, it's just this a weird. You can't send hardcover books. You can't send softcover leather-bound books. You can't send those. So it's weird. And I have a friend here who recently transferred to another facility. His sister tried to send him a Bible that was actually imitation leather. It was right there in the Amazon catalog. It says imitation leather cover, and they rejected that.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "But wait a minute. Look at the catalog item. It's imitation." He says, "Not my problem. I don't care. It's leather. Send it back. He had to send it back to his sister at his own expense." Right? So,
yeah, I imagine it's. I would imagine. I would just imagine it's sort of like they think people can slip stuff in between the leather and the book or whatever. Anyhow.
Well, I mean, you're trying to rationalize a system that is fundamentally irrational.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm glad you said that, because I mentioned a bit of that to Maurice Dubois when I was talking to him. I pointed out that this idea, you get these when you're a Second Amendment advocate, you get these kind of objections of, well, someone could do something bad. And I just, what if someone raided, someone robbed your house and took your gun, and then they do something bad in the street? It's like, look, these arguments against fundamental rights are really personal.